Dit is Jaap van Kluiven op Nieuwsradio.
You're listening to Holistic Radio. My name is Jaap van Kluiven and I'm talking with Thor Gundersen from Norway. And well, for the listeners, I think we are going to make a very interesting program with a lot of information. So just hold yourself and just let it come over you, because we are going to talk about what's really happening with us here on Earth. Maybe it's good to start with, well, maybe the multidimensional system. You have told me a little bit about it.
Yes, the system is about deprogramming our limitations or patterns that we are stuck into with a lot of energy. So by deprogramming the limitations, we open up for ourselves in a quite another way that we beyond what we can even imagine that we are able to do. We open up the unlimited potential in our system to higher vibrational rates and or frequency levels, and thereby become more aware over our different life expressions that we have within ourselves simultaneously while walking on this planetary system. And by increasing the vibrational rate, we can also see the so-called invisible that isn't so invisible. This has never been trying to be a kind of secret or whatever. They always try to connect or having communication with us. But in a way, we are so caught up in our mind, which is a lot of limitation based on survival programs and food and verplanting, you say in forplanting, you say in Norway.
You mean reproduction?
So this runs our system through emotions and old actions and feelings and fight and flight, sex and food mechanism that belongs to the limbic system, which is the middle part of our hemisphere, and the reptilian or croc, which has to do with automatically functioning stuff in our breathing and blood circulation, the ordinary food passaging and sweating, and all this basic functioning stuff that, and these are very burdened, and if we feel that we are in some trouble in a way, we activate the tyrant in ourselves towards ourselves and become victimizing for all this, accusing ourselves and holding us down and comparing ourselves to other people and judging ourselves in any ways, in all ways, and we can be tyrant and make other people's victims for our own tyranny towards other people and other people's tyranny against ourselves.
Well, what I understand is that what you are explaining now in these few minutes, that is huge, because what you are telling us and to the listeners is that there's a kind of blockage because of our ego.
Yeah, the ego. Many people don't want to talk about ego because they don't want to be selfish and ego-oriented. But in fact, people don't know what the ego consists of, and that's in fact our intellect belongs to the ego. Because whatever opinions you have or whatever words you have are using, or all the written things in all the libraries in the entire planetary system belongs to the ego. It's always limited when we are using words, and these are of course from fight and flight, sex and food mechanism and emotions and feelings. Emotions are things that comes up like a wave in your system when you see a sad movie, for example, and the words you can use on these emotions, that's what I, in my opinion, or system call feelings. And we have all sorts of feelings that we have, and of course different personalities. As I see it, and I also remember it myself, you can call it subconscious patterns that you just do and believe and thinking that's you, but not knowing actually that is the download from our ancestors that we are stuck into.
That's very interesting. We are talking about a download, and we all understand what downloading is. But can you go a little bit deeper into this? Because I understand this is quite important for us as living human beings.
Yes, the download starts immediately when we even decide to come to this planetary system or have more to learn or go through on this planetary system. So we cannot manage to do it during one life, therefore the system is made up that you go through many lives to experience all what this planetary system has to offer you in the form of experiences. But sadly enough, we use our experiences to get caught up into old programs, and these are programs that is also downloaded from all our ancestors. It's like a pyramid turned upside down with us on the top or the bottom, and there's a tremendous amount of limitations which starts during conception, and the download is during the pregnancy or to you're born, and many years after, because these are very, very large amount of stress or limitations that we have in our genetic material. This we deprogram in, and you're the boss for this deprogramming, whether you believe it or not, because we open up for to be a boss in our life. That is to say, we start working together with other people instead of always using this victimizing style or tyranny or regimes that we are often caught up in, which we have been influenced by living in our lives on this planetary system. For it differs from person to person, and some of the persons who are on this planetary system have lived more lives than others. And mostly the one who come to my courses is those who are been here more than 150 lives on this planetary system. They are getting tired of doing the same things over and over again, and it's a growing kind of awareness or acceptance that isn't it more than the usual stuff that I'm doing? There must be something more, or they are tired of being exhausted.
But this group, for example, you are mentioning, who are tired of coming back every time and having a task that is so difficult to do, that has to do with this inheritage, this download we all have to deal with. But I can imagine the listener already wants to know, well, what's the solution?
Yeah, in the courses which I do, we agree upon which subject that we are going to get rid of in our limitations or work through. This process can go on for 3 weeks or so, or even more, or in some cases less. But you're getting rid of jealousy and hate and being envy and competition and comparing yourself to other people, and more free from other people's opinions, which you accept your own limitations in your own opinions. But we also get rid of the identification to our intellect. That is to say, if we talk with other people, we should know simultaneously that we can observe that this is a limitation that you're talking about.
But at the same time, this limitation we all feel makes you the designer of yourself. But the whole purpose, the whole story is different.
Yeah, the whole story is different because these limitations makes up your so-called own reality. And by clearing off these limitations, which gives you access to the front part of the brain, the natural part of the brain, instead of using the normal stuff, the copying brain, gathering information and bookly wisdom or knowledge, this is all limitations. So we just reopen up for higher vibrational rate in our system and our life expression, so we can quite see it as an observer instead of being caught up in all this stuck energy in these old programs and believing that we are this, not knowing actually that it is download from our ancestors that we keep on repeating. And we are so used to doing it that we identify ourselves with it, and even feel threatened if people have other opinions than we have ourselves, because we identify ourselves with our own opinions instead of seeing there are so many ways of seeing things that we shouldn't be caught up in certain conclusions, which is a reductional way or judging way of seeing life, which belongs to lower parts of our brain. And we are born with a brain which has no judging at all. It just choose in endless choices, endless options that we can just do, free from the old programs.
Well, being free of this programming, that's what I would love to talk with you about after the music break, and also about the repeat button, which is very interesting.
What is about? There's something evolving. Whatever may come, the world keeps revolving. They say the next big thing is here, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
You're listening to Holistic Radio. My name is Jaap van Kluiven, and I'm talking with Thor Gundersen. And, well, we have a quite interesting conversation, and I'm sure the listeners are very interested in the second part. And in this part, we are going to talk more about, well, is it your task or a kind of purpose that you have a very important story to tell to us human beings?
Yeah, I was for many years ago, or even when I was a little boy, I saw how blocked people were and be run by old behavior patterns. So, and after some years, I saw in numbers, which I am able to do, see how much part of the brain they use or how much of the brain they use, and very seldom there is no use of the front part of the brain, because you're run by this old carousel of ego that is maintained by doing certain actions or repeat button, as I say. And we often decide to do otherwise in life, and some ideas that, oh yeah, that's nice to do that, and after a few days you realize that they were only doing the old stuff again.
That's why you mentioned, and I mentioned too, the repeat button, which bothers us a lot.
And these are so much stuck energy to this repeat button that, and this we also deprogram all this stuck energy into emotions, with emotional dramas that we are caught up in, or sore feelings, or being offended, and we open up for more joyfulness in life and happiness, and which is a more natural part of our brain. So we go from the normal use of the brain to the natural part of the brain. And very few people has ever opened up to this part, so they are running their own carousels and old programs. And this is very tiring. We get exhausted of doing the old stuff, and boring, and yeah.
And what kind of role is our DNA playing in this story?
It's a very big, because this download from all these programs influence our genetic materials, and in many cases only 1% opening up in our genetic material. By removing the stress in the genetic codes and genetic function, you can say the codes are the foundation in a building, and the function is the floors upwards. So the foundation has to be arranged or in order. And by doing so, getting rid of these old programs, we open up for the multidimensional system, which our genetic material, it is multidimensional, or else it wouldn't be able to gather so much information as it is. But many scientists call much of the genetic material as garbage. It isn't garbage at all, because this is only energy attached to old programs that makes us believe or think that we are not using all of this, and it's true in a way that we don't use it. You're the deprogrammer, which we reactivate or activate in the courses, so you can deprogramming and open up more of the unlimited potential in your genetic material. Because according to scientists also, I'm also, because I always test my own results, whatever I do or say, or this is kind of open up the broadband or higher vibrational rate in our system, which we can easily manage to receive and therefore get information from life expressions, as I say. Every human is expression for life, of course, but we have many life expressions simultaneously in our system. And we can talk with other life expressions that is on a higher vibrational rate than our eyes can see, but we open up for inner seeing or inner hearing also. And the aura, which we also lighten up by getting away the limitations in our aura and the stuck energy, so the energy flows more freely in our system to the unbelievable or cannot grasp the power within ourselves, because we try to stay away from this and run into old program thinking, because we are quite used to this repeat button, People think that is safe, but it brings us next to nowhere and caught up in limitations. We are born to be unlimited, and that's a fact that we can open up for also. I experience it directly instead of other people telling you everything that you already know in a way. But because of all the burdens from all our lives and so on, we have very little insight on it. But we have something within ourselves that knows in a way that we are able to do much more in life than we are able to do.
What I experience now in this time is that we are making many radio programs about these subjects. We are here at the office of Bertie Vlegeert, and Piet Woolaert is here, well known by the listeners. We are making holistic programs, and we are giving information to the listeners on this level. And we all agree that right now the time is right to talk about this. Is that why you are, well, let me say, popping up?
Yes, they are very pleased from other levels that I'm doing the work, and I do communicate with them because I see them all the time. So they're very happy about me doing these courses or opening up, which everybody who participate in these courses do themselves. We just simply agree what is to set into action, and you're your own deprogrammer. Instead of holding in the control button, the repeat button, you press on the delete button for all these old programs. So your system will function much more stress-free. It's a kind of gigantic stress release of your system, and by doing so, it's much more easy to communicate with higher levels and so on, instead of always listening to other people or whatever it is. You can experience it yourself, because the courses I'm doing, although I'm talking with it in an intellectual level, which is the communication form, but we go to the formlessness also in our system. But we don't have to identify ourselves anymore or being owned by other people's opinions anymore, or even own our own opinions. It's just to let go of it and a kind of detachment to it.
The advice could be, get out of the competition.
Yes, we should get out of the competition, because this is mostly based on jealousy and judging other people and dumping our own limitations on other people. So this will we should always work on in the courses. So people won't dump their limitations upon us, so we can be more quiet in our surroundings or in all walks of life in a way.
That means we are able to make our own unique history.
Yes, because when we get away the download from our ancestors and all these limitations, it pops up not being special, because being special in life is also comparing yourself to other people. When you stop this comparing, the uniqueness in your system and the generosity of giving this to other people, your own unlimited potential, which you can just talk about or do something about, is more about choices in life instead of being run by all these control button programs.
Well, talking again about this control button, it also has to do with the way we are built up here on Earth, three-dimensional. We exist out of cells, molecules.
Yes, but when it comes to particles, it's hard to explain these particles because they seems to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So, but since we have the power, we are in a way the creators, because we have chosen our genetic material. And many people complain about how they look like and so on, and judge themselves. It's your choice. It's how you have chosen to look like in this life. So. But we have many so-called appearances or life expressions simultaneously, and by getting away this limitation, we suddenly realize or start seeing other people's energy system directly. We see the light in people, and the so-called material world or the ways of seeing seems to dissolve in a way, and we can see more the vibrations in other people and the light in other people, and therefore be able to see the blockages in other people and do something about it.
Then we come at the level of frequency, meridians.
Yes, it's about the radio programs also, because this is sent by certain frequencies, and by increasing opening up a genetic material, we open up for frequencies that is far above our imagination even, so. And more directly, not confrontation, but they are very joyful for these life expressions from other levels, and very directly, but they're extremely humorous. So. And you can also travel to other levels with them, or they will show you how it functions also very clearly.
I can imagine many listeners are very curious and would love to make this travel. So let's talk about your course and your email address and your website.
Yes, this I think I have to leave to Lisbeth, because she's the one doing all this internet and appointments for my courses and arrangements for it. So
the email address, because Lisbeth, your partner, is taking care of your administration, but I understand about much more, because sometimes you forgot to eat and drink like human beings.
Yes, sometimes I even forget to eat and drink, and sometimes I eat a lot, so it differs quite a lot. So. But in the courses we do talk about food and so on also. So
very important. Well, let's mention the email address. That is lisbeth.riceeater5@gmail.com, and Lisbeth is written like Lisbeth .riceeater, REISEATER. So I will repeat the complete Gmail address, lisbeth.riceeater5@gmail.com. This is very complex. But there's hope for the listeners, because they can call you too. The telephone number is 0047 466 75481. I repeat the telephone number, and of course that's Norway, 0047 466 75418. And of course the listeners are used to make contact with me, so you can always ask for the newsletter and more information by sending an email to jaapvankluiven@gmail.com. jaapvankluiven@gmail.com. It's maybe good to ask Bertie about the courses you're going to give here in Spain. Bertie, thanks to you, Thor is in this program, and he's giving courses in Spain and also in Holland, in Norway and other countries.
Yes, that's right. Maybe it's an idea to make a course in May when they come back.
Okay, so quite soon there can be a course done here at the Costa Blanca by Thor Gundersen. And people who want to make contact via Bertie, then just send an email to avleggeert@hotmail.com. avleggeert@hotmail.com. Back to you, Thor. I want to thank you very much for getting to know you, and also for the listeners. I'm sure people will be very interested in having contact with you, and that's why I hope we can meet again soon.
Yes, and thanks to all the listeners also for hearing my sweet voice, of course. And thanks for this program, and it has been very fun for me and interesting and nice people around here, so very happy.
Okay, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much.